In this video, we'll review some basic Git commands for modifying an existing repository. When you create a repository from scratch, it comprises just a single empty folder along with Git's log file, which is hidden from your file system's viewer by default inside of the repository's .git subfolder. When you add files or subfolders to the copy of your repository cloned on your machine, Git tracks those changes. You can view the changes Git has noticed using the status command that we reviewed in the previous video. To add content to your repository, you can use the Git Add command by typing Git Add and then a list of one or more files or folders separated by spaces. Git also understands wildcard characters. For example, typing git add star.py will add any file with the extension .py. In other words, the star matches any pattern, so the pattern star.py matches any file name that ends in .py. Although Git will track any changes you make to files in your repository, the safe way to remove a file is to do so through Git rather than by deleting the file directly using your operating system's file system command. To remove a file, type git rm and then the file name. Similarly, when you move or rename files using your operating system's file system, Git will track those changes. But in order to connect a renamed or moved file's history to its prior versions, you need to use Git's move command. To move or rename a file, type git mv and then the old location and file name, followed by a space, followed by the new location and file name. Once you've made a set of changes that you'd like Git to track, it's time to add them to Git's log file on your local machine. That will create a tagged version of all the files in your repository that you'll always be able to go back to later if desired. Committing works kind of like a save point in a video game. At any point in the future, you can revisit any prior committed version of your repository. It's good practice to commit frequently so that you have many save points to choose from. Git is very efficient with storage, so you don't need to worry about saving too many copies of your files. In each commit, only the changes from the previous commit are saved, not complete new copies of your files. To commit your changes, type git commit -a -m and then a message describing your changes enclosed in single or double quotes. Your commit message will help remind you of what you changed so that you can know which commit to go back to later if you so choose. Committing changes only affects the Git log file on your local machine. Therefore, your changes are not backed up to GitHub until you explicitly tell Git to update the copy hosted on GitHub's servers. To update GitHub's copy of your repository to match your local version, type git push. You may need to type your GitHub username and password depending on how you've configured your installation. After pushing your changes, you should see a message in the terminal window showing your files being uploaded. And if you visit your repository's page on GitHub, it should reflect your changes. If your repository is cloned onto multiple machines, or if you're collaborating with other developers on your project, the cloned copy of on your local machine may not always reflect the latest version of your repository on GitHub. To update your local copy of the repository with the latest version on GitHub, run git pull. It's important to pull the latest changes from GitHub into your local copy before you make any substantial changes to avoid merge conflicts. Merge conflicts occur when your local repository's changes have become out of sync with GitHub's copy of the repository in a way that GitHub cannot handle automatically. We'll explore some approaches for handling merge conflicts in a later video. A second use of the pull command is typically executed on the GitHub page for your repository. When you create a fork of a public repository you don't own, you cannot directly modify the original repository's contents. However, you can still contribute to the original repository or another forked repository using pull requests. When used in this way, a pull request creates a formal request to merge the changes you've made on your fork into another repository. To create a pull request from your fork into another repository, visit the GitHub page for your fork. Click the Pull Request tab near the top, and then click the green New Pull Request button. By default, the pull request will be made from the master branch of your fork into the master branch of the repository that you created the fork from. You can change which repository or branch you pull from or to using the drop-down menus. Click the green Create Pull Request button to start your request. In the dialog box that pops up, describe what you changed, and then click the new green Create Pull Request button to formally submit your requested changes. When you create a pull request, the owner of the repository you're requesting changes to may accept your changes and incorporate them into their repository, send you a message requesting additional changes, or reject your changes outright. Once you open a new pull request, that request always references the latest version of the branch of your repository that you're requesting to pull into another repository. That means that if you push additional changes to your fork's branch, they will automatically be updated in your pull request as well, without you doing anything additional. Once the owner of the repository you're requesting to change accepts your changes, those changes are merged into their repository, and your pull request is automatically closed. To request any further changes after your pull request is merged, you need to open a new pull request. In addition to the git, clone, and status commands we reviewed in the previous video, add, remove, move, commit, push, and pull are likely to be the git commands you use most often. In the next videos, we'll review some more advanced uses of git.